So, welcome to our 127th episode of the Gutenberg Changelog podcast. In today's episode, we will talk mostly about WordPress 7.0 because Beta 2 has been out, and a little bit about Gutenberg 22.6, but most of it, what's in that release, is actually coming to WordPress 7.0. I'm your host, Birgit Pauli-Haack, curator at the Gutenberg Times and a full-time core contributor for the WordPress open source project, sponsored by Automatic. And today, Jessica Lyschik is with me on the show again, and we will tackle most of the WordPress 7.0 updates. Jessica is a core contributor to WordPress default theme co-lead for 2024, a speed building champion 2025, and works as a senior developer for Grade, a company building WordPress products and for agencies and large companies. And Jessica is a regular host on the Grade Conversations, to be found on YouTube. How are you today, Jessica? Welcome to the show again.
Thanks for having me. I'm good. I mean, the sun is shining outside, so I'm expecting hopefully a nice work day today and then catch some sun rays because it's been a long winter here.
Yeah.
It's been very cold, very moody, cloudy. So sun is very nice. Having some sunshine is a very nice change.
Yeah, I was walking the streets of Munich the other day and I saw the little plants kind of coming out, crocuses and whites and gray, yellow. So spring is coming. And
Definitely.
And I actually saw a sunrise at 6:30 in the morning. So the days are getting longer too, which is part of my mood changing thing. Yeah, so WordPress 7.0 comes in big steps, and WordPress 7.0 Beta 2 was released just yesterday, and we're recording this on February 27th. So let's go through the list of things that actually made it into 7.0. I'm also sharing on the show notes, not only the list, but also a link to the help test WordPress 7.0 that the test team has put together with some nice instructions and videos on how things are supposed to work. And you can go in and test if they're actually working like that or if something else is breaking. And you ask, dear listeners, to help doing that. I'm also always kind of say the best way to learn what's in WordPress 7.0 is to heed to the call of testing, because that's the first step to learn what's working for you, what works with your sites and with your plugins. Yep. And it will be really helpful to know this before the release comes out. So if you just follow the instructions on how to present feedback and bug reports. Your team has started testing.
Yes. When you have a plugin and you do not look at the beta versions or release candidates and suddenly the release date rolls around and you're not prepared and clients update their websites and then they say, hey, my sites break, then you're in trouble. So avoid that as best as possible. That's why I'm glad for that we have beta phase and release candidate phase, so we can really have a closer look. And it's so easy with the beta tester plugin. To be honest, it's still the one way I'm using it, just installing the plugin. I configured the default configuration a little bit different, only to show me beta and release candidates versions. And then it's just hit update and go for it with whatever installation you have at the moment. So that's actually, I find this to be one of the easiest ways without needing to have a big technical knowledge about that. Of course, there's WP CLI, there's many other ways you can achieve that. But for me, this is probably the easiest and can be thrown on any installation, local or online. Probably not live sites, but any staging or testing environment that you have. So
exactly, and it's a good point. Don't test this on a live site.
Yeah, things can break. I mean, that's why it's called a beta version or release candidate. So things are supposed to break. I spotted an issue today morning with something, not a big issue, but it is an issue. So we have to look into this. But we still have time. About how long are we away? 6 weeks, I think. About 6 weeks. So yeah,
April 9th is the final release date. So we are a little bit 5 weeks more than 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And it will be, I just saw the note, it will be released during Contributor Day at WordCamp Asia. So some of the release squad members will be in Mumbai to hit the big button. But of course, it's all remotely, and you can do it from anywhere. So it doesn't really matter where the release squad is. The only thing that might skew it a little bit a little bit is the time difference between where the other release squad members are and the ones in Mumbai. But for Europe, it's a 3.5 hours time difference. So it's not that big of a deal. You just need to organize it. And
yeah, usually they are, for us in Europe, their releases are in the evenings, so something around 7 p.m., 8 p.m. Sometimes it depends on when the dates are announced and the times. So it will be a bit earlier for us in the day, but still like afternoon-ish. So
yeah.
not in the middle of the night. So, but of course, if you move further to US time zones like East Coast, West Coast is particularly early for them, I guess. If it's it could be like early morning for them.
Yeah, could be
be.
in the middle of a night.
Oh no, we have to think backwards. It will be like, I don't know, is it like in the afternoon on the 9th? Do you know more details about that?
I was looking for the release party post, but I haven't seen it.
I mean, there's an overview post somewhere.
Yeah.
I remember
Yeah, on the
that.
Make blog, definitely. I'm just looking at it when the release party schedule is. I'll see if
There's only a date so far on the
okay.
overview.
Yeah, beta release was about 3 p.m. UTC, so that's 4 o'clock in the afternoon in Europe, -9. That's about 7 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, it's early morning, yeah.
In Pacific time, yeah. So about that time. Yeah, I'll get a better look at that when we get closer, yeah, to see when they schedule actually the release parties. But it's always great fun to be in the core channel to kind of see it coming together.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's about the process. April 9th, we mentioned it, is the release. We have release candidate. So beta is the feature freeze. So after that, only bug fixes are going to be merged into core. Release candidate 1 is on March 19th, and that is considered a string freeze. There will be release candidate 1, 2, and 3, and only things that don't have a string. Well, the reason why they do string freeze is because then the translator can start translating the version or the new strings into their respective languages. And to give them about 3 weeks to 4 weeks is a good number. But when you don't do string freeze, then they have to start all over again when the new version comes out.
When so many things. I mean, things will change. Maybe there's always the thing that a bug appears and maybe strings have to be changed. So there's always some moving parts, but it is way much reduced if you're stopping to actually make massive changes so people can catch up with things. And then when it's just a few more strings that need to be adjusted or retranslated, then it's not like 500 new strings, but only 5 the day before the release. So yeah, it makes totally sense. I mean, it has worked great over the past many years that we've been doing this like that. So
absolutely, yeah. So now with all the talk about the release, what's actually going to be in WordPress 7.0, and there have been quite a few. So there was the roadmap, and then there was these tracking issues that are on the Gutenberg repo. So there is not a whole lot of mystery behind what's coming, but we definitely should talk through that. And one of the biggest features is the real-time collaboration. So now the message that somebody else is editing your post will go away, or it will still be there, but you still can access the post, and then you can see who else is working on the post. And you can have more than one person can be in the post or in the page to actually edit that and not get into trouble with losing content. So that's a feature that has been a long time coming. And it's also something that has been tested already in the enterprise section for, I think, a little over a year or half a year, since August last year. So, and now it comes to WordPress core. So it's really cool. I like it.
I have not seen it in action yet because I mostly work on things where it's only me. and rarely anyone else. But I've seen the notes feature. This is like the kind of side quest, if you will, which has been already around since 6.9, if I remember correctly.
Right.
But yeah, I've just opened the GitHub issue around it that is linked in the testing post, and it's quite interesting. It will be interesting to see. I think we have to spin up a session with my colleagues and all go into one page and see what it looks like, how it feels like. So
Yeah, there are some avatar bubbles showing up on multiple places. Yeah, it's kind of in the headline, and also when they're both there, and also if the notes and the real-time collaboration are kind of merging now. So the same avatars that show up in the notes will also show up in the as where the cursor is. So it's kind of really interesting to see. I think it's not only for enterprise, it's also for, if you have a blog site, you probably also have a designer or a person that manages your media. You can all be in the post and kind of do things just right before publishing, and you don't have to coordinate. Get out of the post, get into the post. What do we change?
yeah.
Did we save things? Even if you have a team of two, it's still an interesting feature. And I'm really hoping, as working on the WordPress developer blog, that we kind of cut out the step where we do everything in Google Docs, do all the comments there, and then once everybody kind of has their word and say to move it, and that we actually start creating the post in the blog and then just do the reviews from there. The only caveat is that to review and help, you have to be a member of the blog. You have to be an editor on the blog.
That's true.
But I think everybody who's writing and reviewing either will be on the blog or will in the future or already has written a blog post. So they should be able to do it. Right now, it's only me doing it. Yeah, I publish in January and in February a post, and it's only me doing it. But it's interesting to do this via notes, yeah, because you get emails and all that, yeah, already. So it's a good feature. The real-time collaboration, I haven't done anything on that yet because it just came out, yeah, so it's not yet implemented. Anything else about real-time collaboration? Oh, yeah, at the moment, and that's with beta 2, it's a setting that you can opt into. So you have to go to settings, writing, and I think the fourth from the top is the enable collaborative editing or real-time collaboration. Otherwise, it wouldn't work. I think for later versions, it will be an opt-out, but it will be on the same space.
Where do you put this? I've just opened up the preferences. I have a test site which I spun
but you go
up.
to the admin settings, the normal settings for writing.
The normal setting. Okay, I was in the editor, so that's probably why I'm not seeing it there.
Yeah. It's not in the preferences. It's in the admin dashboard and then settings and then writing.
Writing, yeah. Oh yeah, there it is. Enable real-time collaboration. Let's just try this out, how it looks like.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm curious to see.
You don't see it when you're alone, all alone.
Well, I could create a second user and then just
and switch over in the second
switch
browser.
over in another browser or another incognito tab.
I think it could be in a different browser window. I tested it with Firefox and Google just to kind of not get into the way of each other.
Yeah, you need to a different browser tab in the same browser is not going to work because then you're logged in with the same user. So you need to be logged in with two different users in order to make that happen.
Yeah.
So it's either an incognito window in the same browser or a different browser. Basically,
you could be logged in as admin, but you can switch the user over. There's a user switching plugin. That's what I'm using by John Blackburn. He is a very easy user switching plugin, and I'll share the plugin link in the show notes. And then you can switch over to a different user, and then because I uploaded 2 avatars, so I can see the difference and all that. In the same note, another big feature, it's not a new feature, but it's a total revamp, is the visual revisions.
Oh yeah,
feature.
This is a big change. I've tested this out before we started because I was really curious to see. And yeah, this is no more text walls and complicated HTML text to understand and everything like before. I mean, I think the old one does have an advantage for like someone like me who's used to look at code all day and I can get my way around it. But I guess for many people who are not this, do not have an eye for this, this is like a massive wall of text and some green and some red
Yeah.
stuff flying around somewhere. So I found it a very interesting way to create the revisions, to visualize the changes. I mean, I only made minimal changes to a page, like adding a paragraph, removing a sentence and whatnot. But yeah, it's actually kind of interesting.
So one of the major features is it's in the editor, you don't have to switch screens to see your revisions. That's also a plus. It knows what blocks are. So every change is still the red and green. If you red when you remove something, green when you add something. And it has a little banner on the right-hand side to outline.
Yes, to indicate where on the page about where. I mean, only had a short page, so it wasn't that big of a deal, but it kind of, I think it really showed where it was. Like if there's a specific paragraph you're looking at, then let me just open up this
Yeah,
again.
it's really nice. Ella did a fabulous job on that. And
I mean,
I
and
think
there's also not just red and green, but there's also yellow if something inside a paragraph changes. That is not like completely adding, or I think for this one, I added something inside an existing block. So the block itself is outlined in yellow. Hey, something changed here. And then the part where I added the words, that is highlighted in green. So it's like also
yeah,
kind of detailed and not just red and green like before, but you have also yellow, which indicates some sort of change, maybe with either an addition or removal.
yeah, it's really nice. It's very visual, and
Yeah.
staying in the block editor is such a relief. You don't have to go back and forth. And you have on the top of the screen, you also have the different versions of things. So it's a slider with the dates attached. So you can and the publish button changes to a restore button. So you can
Yeah.
select the
And you
version that you
can
want to restore. Yeah.
and you can also exit there. So it's like you do not have the editing ability anymore. So the entire editing ability is stripped from that page. And instead you have either restore or exit. So I think this makes it distraction free. So it's also good because then people will not start editing inside that. It's just a visual representation of hey,
Exactly.
things have changed.
Exactly. Yeah. Good. And then, do you want to take the next feature or?
I have not, I have seen this. So I was curious to see because I saw something else down in the Gutenberg 22.6 release notes, if you will. But I saw that when you're trying to hide any block, you can now hide them specifically either on desktop, tablet, or mobile. So it's not just on or off, but you can now, in WordPress core without any extra plugins, say this either show only on desktop, show only on tablet, show only on mobile. The little downside here is that if I am not mistaken, you can still not change the ranges of the viewports. You can?
No, that's still
Yeah,
hard-coded. But it's
exactly. So you're still tied to like the default states of what is desktop, what is tablet, what is mobile. So that is the little downside, if I say so, because oftentimes, at least in my experience, people want to really hone in. I want mobile to go to up until this specific size and tablet to be in this range. And they oftentimes differ from what WordPress offers by default. So that's why many plugins have been popular in the past and many different integrations are there. So I think it's important to mention that it does work. I guess it does work because otherwise it wouldn't be in the beta version. But it is restricted to what core says about the viewports. So
yeah, and it's a range. It's mobile starts at 480 and desktop starts at 768, and in between is the tablet. So I have found that I cannot make my browser window small enough to see the mobile version, but that's, I think, a setting on my desktop. I'm not quite sure, but if you use the developer tools, you can see it, or the previews, of course. Yeah, the preview inside the block editor will show you yes or no.
Yep.
With 20.6, they also added a feature for the list view where you see the eye for visible or invisible.
Yes.
It also has a little tooltip saying, okay, it's visible on desktop or it's visible on mobile and hidden on tablet and these kind of things. So there's a little bit more visual support for figuring out why is that block not working. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it seems to work pretty well. So I just played around with it, put a paragraph to hide on desktop. It does no longer show at desktop, but once I make the browser smaller, it appears again. So it seems to be working pretty well.
Yeah. Yeah, the next feature is, well, it's kind of a set of features for the navigation block that has been coming in. There are a few things that are making navigation easier. One is that you now have control for your hamburger menus, your mobile hamburger menus, or if you want them on desktop too. Yeah, so you can now create different overlays for your navigation. And 7.0 will come with a few patterns. So you don't have to do the whole creative work. You can just kind of say, okay, I will use this one and this one. It's on the basis of template parts. So it can be reused on other places and templates if you have different overlays. And so I really like that.
Yeah, it gives more customization that wasn't there before because you just only had a mobile version of the navigation you created. And I know it from our experience at Gray that people like to switch up things in this mobile view because they want to add a button or add information or whatever, or change the menu items by default to have less menu items than they would have on desktop. So this was only possible with other tools, and now it's in Core as well. I also played around with it a bit, just adding random blocks to it. So it's not just limited to specifically the navigation, but can add anything you need into that because it's a template part, as you said. So
yeah, right.
Yeah.
So it actually is then also possible to create mega menus, which is also something that a lot of people wanted to do with that template parts.
Well, I haven't played it that far so far. I haven't looked at the settings in detail, but I guess I have to test this out.
Yeah. Well, there are a lot of people who are going to be testing things, and I wish they would share a little bit more about their successes, or, well, then never really talk about their successes, mostly about, oh, this is a bug that needs to change kind of thing. But it would be really cool to see some other implementations. Yeah. They also revamped the submenus a little bit with handling that. So it now defaults open or close states, and you have a place to put the close button for that. Yeah, the patterns we talked, the overlay patterns is kind of with a black background, with an orange background, with a site info as well. So it's pretty cool. Oh yeah, and what also changed is in the navigation is that you can now, well, you always could add new pages to when you create a navigation bar, create a new page, but now you have a toggle switch that you can actually publish it. So the created page is then available in your pages, but the menu works. And they did also a fantastic job making the links in the menu a little bit more smart. Yeah, so when you change the title or the slug of a page, it now reflects in the menu where it's actually used. So that was also a big pain point that you always had to think about. Oh, I changed the slug of my page or my pouch. Now I need to update 2 menu items because I have a header menu and a footer menu, and yeah, it's all kind of it was a little
Or
bit
another 5 menus in different places that you all need to update and you forgot about them. So yeah, that's actually very nice. I just opened up also when you have a navigation block focused and go select one of the pages that is in there. It now shows a little, I'm not sure how long this has been there, but there's a box popping out saying the title of the link, and then it links to this specific page, which is a page. So the post type is shown and also what status it has. So it is published, is it draft or whatever. So I think if I click on that, yeah, I can now go directly into editing and I can go back. Oh, this is fancy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's also fairly new. I think it was in 22. So it's between 6.9 and 7.0. It's a new feed. It's a new
I think this
flow
will
there.
definitely enhance the whole working with navigation, with navigation in general, because to be honest, it has been a pain to work with navigation. So I'm glad to see some improvements here. They're looking really good. Oh, you can even add more stuff, description and rel attribute. Nice. That's looking good.
Yeah.
I like that. I honestly like that.
Awesome. Very good, Birgit. What's next on the list?
Next on the list is gallery block at Lightbox support.
Ooh, that's my personal favorite. Yeah. Well, Lightbox support was there before, right?
I was just saying that the Lightbox has been around for a while.
But
not only for images, right? Not for the gallery.
It was for the gallery, but it only
Yeah.
added the click to open big.
Yep.
It wasn't a real Lightbox. It kind of, you needed to close it and then look at the next picture and open it up again. But now you actually have navigation with next and previous. So you could actually have a really nice gallery viewing experience. And yeah, I was waiting for this for quite a while. Not that I didn't find any plugins that do that, but yeah, to have it in core, it's really good. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a very nice feature because it reduces the need for a plugin if the functionality is enough for the user. I mean, there will always be plugins that enhance this functionality or create another variation of a Lightbox with even more features. There's always like that, but it's good to have that because I've never really worked so much with galleries in the past, but probably I will do more because now you can continue switching to the other images without even having to close that. So I think that's really a good quality of life improvement.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Those sites that have big visual assets on there, like pictures and you have portfolios, or they want to show a decoration or be it food. Yeah. Each one of the sites. And what I like about it is also that you can swipe it on mobile. You don't need
nice.
It's not animated, but it's definitely there. So the thing that moved to the next version in WordPress is showing the captions somewhere on that. Yeah, right now it's just a picture and the navigation, but that's a huge step forward. What also is new for the gallery block and many blocks is that the sidebar where the settings and the styles are now also have a content tab where you can see, for instance, all the pictures in a list and then just open it up and add an alt text to it, for instance. So you can have an easier way to update the content of things. You'll see that also on other blocks that are kind of multi-blocks, like the social icons or the buttons or the list, that you get now a little content section on the right-hand side, and you don't have to, for that, open up the list view. It's a little bit duplication, but I think it's a different mindset when you just want to edit that particular group of blocks and see it in one view.
Yeah, but you can, I just created a gallery on my test site and picked some of the pictures. And when you are in this content section and you click on an image, you are put to the specific image block within the gallery. So I don't think this is too much of a crazy thing. Yeah, you are right about the duplication, that if you are on the gallery block itself, you can add something. That's probably easier on the right side now to add something, but you also get the context options that you would have in the list view. So this is the duplicated part. But to be honest, I mean, I work a lot with the list view. The first thing I do when I come into a brand new editor is go to preferences and say list view, always show list view, because I still don't get why this is not the default. But yeah, for people who may be not using the list view too much, I think this is a pretty nice way to work with the gallery block.
Yeah, there are also people who are overwhelmed by the list view. Yeah, so kind of they don't.
Yeah, I can understand. But yeah, I'm a big fan of the list view. So
yeah, there will be two new blocks. There's a breadcrumbs block and the icon block. And the icon block just made it out of experimental with 22.6. The last
I think this was a very close call, right? I just saw Ryan's post the other day. It's like, we made it. And I was like,
Yeah.
ooh, that's close.
Yeah.
Isn't beta 1 already out yet?
Yeah. No, it was actually in beta, but the discussion was not about the icon block per se, but it only has limited functionality. When you, for a designer, you cannot register your own icon
That would have been my
collection.
question, yes.
Yeah. And that has been the API that was too close to be comfortable in creating a new API at the last minute, so to speak. And they said that needs to be simmer for a moment. And that was pushed in 7.1. But you still can use the icons that are in the block editor already.
Mostly it will be arrows or the chevrons or maybe something like pencil or image or home.
Yeah.
The default ones are there, so it's, I would say for the beginning it's fine. And I think for the extensibility it's definitely needed that we have an API to add any kind of icon that we want or that the user needs, because people work with the most different things. I think we had the same thing with the social icons block, if I remember correctly. Like you had a fixed set, but then later on it was added the ability that you can upload your own icons, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
So I would very look forward to potentially in 7.1 that we get the ability to extend this icon library to whatever icons we need have an upload.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
of some sorts.
Designers really love working with icons, and when they design sites, it would be really helpful to actually have the branded icons, whatever they have, to be uploaded. But yeah, in the release post of 22.6, Bernie Ryder, who was a release lead, he uploaded an implementation which makes perfect sense, which is the location for a map, kind of, yeah, what's the address, what's the link for Google Map, and what are the ratings, so to speak. And you can all do that with the icon set that's already in the block editor. It was worth to, even with not registering the API, to put that into a core, and it's still helpful.
I mean, the icon block has been long awaited, so it was about time.
Yeah, and the other block is the breadcrumbs block, which I'm really happy that it made it, because that's a very versatile block. It has a lot of smartness behind it, where you can put it on any page and then it figures out what are the breadcrumbs to get to that page and also to get back again. So you could do categories, archives, subpages, parent pages, child pages. It's all picking up those things. And it's really nice addition for larger websites to have a user find their way back or orient themselves on the website.
Yeah, I think there's also enough settings to work with it. So it's looking good. I just added it to my test page. We have all the color, typography, dimensions, border. So there's something to do with it, I would say.
Yeah, you can definitely work with that. So then the existing blocks are obviously also get some improvements. Do you have any favorite of those? I do. So the paragraph has two new things. One is the indentation. So you can make a paragraph or on a page, manage the indentation of the first line in a paragraph. There are two versions of it that you need to handle in the settings page. One is to have the first paragraph not indented, but all the subsequent paragraphs. And then if you toggle that off, then also the first paragraph is indented. And that is that it's in the English-speaking countries, the first paragraph is not indented, but in the right to left and other countries, even if they're left to right, they always want all the paragraphs indented. So it's a different standard for publications in different countries. So they needed to take care of that. But the default is to have the first paragraph not indented and all the subsequent paragraphs are.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's like I usually do not come around that the need for this, but obviously if there's a need for it.
Yeah, a lot of publications have
so.
that as standard, especially those that are in the news and long form. content publications, like essays and that kind of thing. They have these style.
Apparently, I do not read those, so I do not have any experience with that.
Or you just haven't noticed it because it feels natural. But
Probably, yeah.
yeah.
Maybe that's also the case. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to see that. I was wondering, didn't we have something like this before, or was it something else, or I'm mixing this up with something? I don't know.
Yeah. And the second formatting part for paragraph block is that automatic text columns. So you can have a larger paragraph and say, okay, but I need this into a smaller space, but I have multiple columns. And that also works very well. That was actually a plugin from the block editor learn program. There was one course that actually created that kind of columns. So I'm glad that it made it to core because I really found it nice to have that possible. It automatically creates those columns. You can say 2 columns or 3 columns, and it's really nice. You need to enable it through the typography 3-dot menu. That's also
I was
where
just
you
about
find,
to say, I'm not seeing the setting. Where is it? Ah, here is it. Columns. Yeah.
yeah, columns, and
Oh,
also the
nice.
indentation. And that's also where you find the fit the text
Yeah.
into the, so there are typography changes. But right now, only I think available for the paragraph block.
Yeah, it made sense to have moved to the tools panel to get a bit more in the technical side, because if I'm looking now at the typography settings that are available, but this list is like endless.
Yeah.
It's getting endless. So having this to be hidden by default, and you can, if you need to change something, you edit. That's something, yeah, definitely to not clutter the sidebar too much. So
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, that's a good call to always look at the 3 dots in the menu to see, okay, what other options do I have available there? Because they may not be visible. And you look stupid like I did to find the columns
You are
setting.
not that stupid.
Yeah, it's just like, well, why I'm not seeing this? Where is this? Is this a setting somewhere? It's like panicking on the inside on the podcast. I know it's like day-to-day business, so
Yeah.
I'm all good.
So what else is in the current block? There are so many things in there. So the font library has now its own menu item in the appearance menu. Yeah, nothing
So
else
it's
has changed.
available for any themes, if I recall correctly.
Wait,
So
it's
you
not,
can now do all the stuff.
you
Yeah,
don't
it's
have to,
exactly the same like the modal. You just have it like as in the regular backend, basically. It's been like extracted from the editor
right.
to be its own backend page.
Yeah,
But it's in the new style. I just realized that when switching between the default themes, we have the overview to switch the themes. It's like still we did get a little change in the backend. Maybe we can talk about that later. But when you are on themes, you have still this dark, not dark, but lighter gray, very light gray background, and it's no rounded corners. And when you go into fonts, you have this more side editor like white background and rounded corners around. I just realized that there's this
yeah.
kind of difference.
Yeah, I think that the
Interesting.
team really wanted to do the data views, use components from the data views for this new pages. And it will also be, and I just saw that for the beta 2, that the connector for the AI client, that the connector page is under settings.
Yep,
And the page also follows that data view
correct.
design from what's actually going to be the new admin design that's not coming to 7.0, but some of the pages are look a little bit different yet now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I just see these small details like
yeah,
instantly. So I was like, oh, this looks different.
yeah, yeah, it looks a little bit fresher. It's my personal view on that. And
So yeah, I think the most visual change everyone will have is when they log in, so or when they upgrade to 7.0 and they have not seen the beta or release candidate, that suddenly the default color scheme changes in the backend. So I think this will be a bit of a who moment for everyone who is not like looking into this before. So if I guess it's a shout out to everyone who's working with clients who do not see a beta version before. Be prepared because I'm sure there will be questions coming in from everyone like, my admin looks different. What happened?
Yeah, the buttons have a different color. Yay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the black is a bit darker, if I remember correctly. And of course, the blue shines very differently.
Yeah.
So,
But the color scheme was available before. It's called the
yes,
modern.
correctly.
Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
now just the default. I don't think we have materialized any writing about that. So I kind of need to look at the core changes. Right now I'm just looking at the block changes, but yeah. Oh, and one thing that we should mention is the content-only pattern editing that's now coming with 7.0. And that is a way, if you have a pattern that you put into a post or a page, that the pattern is kind of reduced to edit the content of it, so you don't have to change the pattern.
Yeah.
And I think that's reducing a little bit the overwhelm and the danger that people get into when they just use pattern, that they are kind of, you still can edit them, throw out the image and put a different block in there. You can change the headline, paragraph, whatever the pattern is designating as content only. Blocks, patterns, headlines, paragraph, lists, buttons, those can all be just added, just change the content of it. But there is an edit button on the right, edit pattern, and it's for unsynced pattern as well as for sync patterns. But sync patterns has a different workflow when you change the original. That was always in there, but now this is coming to the unsynced patterns as well, when there are multiple patterns in multiple blocks in a pattern. So they're kind of designated in a section, and then you can reduce the trouble a content editor can get themselves into.
I see. Yeah, it certainly looks different. Yeah, you have different buttons. But yeah, you cannot go into like, yeah, you can like make it bold or italic or any of the work with the text. But yeah, you cannot say, I want the button color to change. Is this the default for all patterns? As you said, it's like I've now just added a regular pattern and it's not synced. So I assume it's not synced. Let me check. I think so. Interesting. So when I go to edit pattern, oh, I now have to go to edit pattern in the toolbar.
In the side,
you have now edit pattern.
Sidebar, yeah.
No, in the block toolbar.
Oh, yeah. That's
the block toolbar, you can say edit pattern, and then you get all the controls for each block to move them, delete them, whatever. And then you can go back. And then you have, when you are in the pattern, you have only the editing ability as you described. So you cannot change the blocks itself, but you can like change the contents. I can change the image and set an alternative text, but I cannot say give it a different aspect ratio or use a different image size or whatever.
Or make the paragraph a list or something like that. Those decisions. So
this is actually very good to know, because I just stumbled upon that, and this will be.
Why I wanted to.
This will be interesting, because that's a huge change. I can see the struggle people will have who are not aware of this to get into the editor. They have added a pattern, simply a pattern, and now they want to change the heading, for example. And now on 7.0, they're like, the possibility to change the heading is gone. And they do not realize that they have to click on the edit pattern block first in order to change the heading level, for example. So I think this could be, from the user experience part.
Yeah, a little bit of a stumble block. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The Dev Note, and I saw the draft of the Dev Note for that. There's also a way for site admins to opt out of content only. That especially if you are working with clients or you're creating themes, you probably because you want to edit the pattern all the time, you can opt out of it with a filter, and both is available for PHP as well as for JavaScript. And as a plugin developer or theme developer, you can designate patterns as content only, and with an attribute in the pattern block thing. Those who create custom blocks, they can also designate in the block JSON which attributes are content only. You give it a role equals content in the block JSON. So there are multiple ways to kind of skin that cat as they say in America. So for the end user, I think the advantage is that there is no ambiguity. If I change that, is that getting me into trouble or something like that? Yeah.
Yeah, from that point of view, I'm coming from a different point of view where the user is used to work with that and suddenly they cannot, on the first glance, they cannot edit stuff anymore. Like they cannot change the heading level or font size, font family, whatever. So I think from that perspective, this will be a bit of a struggle. So
yeah. But I think the edit pattern button is prominent enough in the sidebar. But yeah, we'll kind of need to see what the verdict is about that.
yeah, true. So this will be an interesting thing to catch on,
Absolutely. Yeah.
especially if you're a heavy pattern user. This will be very interesting.
Yeah. I think
I mean, I do see, don't get me wrong, I do see the point in like having this content only. I mean, we have something very similar in our Grade plugin where you can lock down, like you have the structure, but you can only edit the content. It's very, very similar. So there is the need for this. It's just like coming when you are already working with WordPress and then you're coming to this. That is the issue that I'm seeing. So,
yeah,
but for real, this reduction of overwhelm to, oh my God, I have so many options, but the pattern is there, but you cannot break it. Totally. That's totally a cool thing. Yeah.
And I get your point, but what is it? It's a 30-second, oh, I need to click on edit pattern, kind of reveal of that. Yeah, it's not a kind of totally, oh, I can't
Well,
do
if
things,
if you are lucky, and the people see it and have the, I do not want to sound too negative about it, but if they have the curiosity to like explore, to do like, okay, what happens if I click on edit pattern? But you also have those people like who are like literally overwhelmed already by this, and then go to whatever support people you have, whether it's a plugin, a specific plugin. I do see an increase of people coming into our support, for example, and saying, hey, things are not working anymore because of, I don't know
can't
what's
find
happening
things
here.
anymore.
So
Yeah.
So
No, I get that, especially because people just go into the website to get something done. And if they are
yes.
overwhelmed with all the changes, it's kind of a certain whoops.
Yeah.
I didn't expect that to change on me forever. Yeah, I totally get
If
that.
they just want to edit text, they will probably not notice or maybe realize, okay, something is different. But as soon as they want to change anything that is related to the blog, I think then it's when it's going to be
just to the design. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I think the last thing that we talk about a little bit here is what did not make it into the 7.0 that was on the roadmap. And that was the playlist block didn't finish in time. The dialogue block, which I really like. The dialogue block is something that you get a button or a link, and then you can control what dialogue comes up for that. And the tabs block, that I'm really sad about, that it did not make it.
Do you know what happened to like why the decision was made to not bring it in?
There was an aspect of the active tab state or non-standard way. There were some accessibility issues that they kind of wanted to revisit.
Tell me about it. Tell me about it. I made the tabs block in the Grade plugin accessible. So it's possible. So, but yeah, I get that this may be the reason why it has been cut out.
I think there were too many people, too many cooks in the kitchen for that with different changes. So I think they need to be finalized as well. And then the playlist block, I'm really sad about that, but we will see. And then some of the notes features that were thought about didn't make it either. There were a few things that haven't been worked on that were in the roadmap, were kind of was aspirational, but it wasn't really prioritized. So like there was the short blocks, a lot of people would like to see that. That's like block binding, but inside the paragraph, so you can have change dynamic data in a paragraph and just in a certain way. It could be a date or could be a change like the time zone change, depending on something, or data from the meta fields, custom fields that are just in the flow text, kind of, you want to put them in. I know that people work on that. Slider block was not worked on, and some of the media things didn't make it either. So are you excited about WordPress 7.0?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of very interesting changes. And I mean, just because something didn't made it, I think there's a lot of that made it that is already giving an impact. We haven't even touched the AI part, so I think this is also something that is really coming. And even that in itself is probably enough to make another episode about if you want to. Yeah, but overall, I think there's some good quality of life improvements. I mean, real-time collaboration is something that everyone has to look for themselves if it's useful. I can see it useful, of course, in like Google Docs style, if you need to collaborate really on something, but also in support, essentially, to like, okay, let me get into the same page and show me on a video call, what are you doing? Or without even being on a video call, without screen sharing, to see what the other person is doing, essentially. I'm not sure I think you can only see the editing sort of things, but overall to see, okay, I do this, I do that, and then this happens. I don't know. This could maybe a thing. Maybe get the icon block, long awaited. We do have some more responsive hiding features, if you will.
Yeah.
It's how to say, rudimentary, but it's like it works. So it works, if you're fine with that, then you're good. Font library available to everyone. I think that's not bad either. So yeah, I think overall this will be an interesting release to have available. And I mean, there's always work to do, so you're not running out of work.
No, even if with the help of AI, I think the work is always going to be there. So for the developers amongst us, I think you want to look at the PHP only registration for blocks. Also, some of the data view package changes for your own plugin might be very interesting for you. Also, the client-side media improvements, they are there, but it's not visible to anybody. It's just kind of that the browser is now doing all the changes to the image, the downsizing for smaller aspect ratios or sizes. It has done in the browser and doesn't have to go to server and back. So, but that's all relatively invisible to a normal user.
True.
I would come to an end here. We are almost at the hour, and it was so much stuff to talk about. So is there anything, Jessica, that you want our listeners to know and you didn't get a chance to talk about?
Not really. Go testing, I would say. Make sure if you have a product like us, make sure things work so you do not get in too much trouble. There will always be people coming to you saying, hey, something does not work. I mean, we do have that too. It's like, then it's just simply helping people with WordPress. That is not related to the product itself. But yeah, overall, just make sure things work, because like there are some changes happening. We also didn't touch too much of the iframed editor situation in our chat. So I think this is something you should look into. I think there has been a new post by Ella this week with some more information. So yeah, for the developers of us, take a look at that, because I think that maybe can potentially cause issues. It shouldn't, but.
Yeah, and I'm kind of hard to think about a scenario how we could test this with older plugins, because I don't see that sites that are in with maintenance with the developer, so they probably won't have a problem. They're already kind of up there because the Gutenberg plugin has always already been updated with the iframes. But I'm looking at people who haven't updated their site for 5 years or something like that with the old blocks version in there, and all of a sudden they come back. But the front end won't change, so they wouldn't see it unless they go in the editor. And I have not seen yet something that fails. So that's why it's now in the Gutenberg plugin that the post editor is loaded in the iframe.
Yeah, it will not be enforced in 7.0, but on the horizon, we already see, okay, if it's now in Gutenberg 22.6, potentially we will have to deal with it in 7.1. So this summer, around that time. Yeah, I think that's something important to just have in the back of your mind, that if you have a product, or if you have not just a product, but also like you said, created custom blocks for a client for a specific website, and there is like either no maintenance or very low maintenance contract, then you need to be aware that things can change, will change. And we had these discussions in the past. I have to say that there are people who were very frustrated that things have changed in the editor and made actually their front end go sideways, and not too bad, but like, okay, it wasn't looking as before. So I can totally understand that frustration, but I mean, it's software, it's a moving project. It's never going to be this forever. Unless you log in the default WordPress version and only receive security updates, then, well, okay, you can deal with that. But
yeah, but I don't think that this block iframe or block editor iframe thing for post edits, this is really a major change or breaking change that, I don't think that most WordPress users won't even know that happened or haven't even noticed that it's already happening. So for those who do client side that are a little older, keep an eye out and let us know, or let the contributors know if it's breaking, what is breaking, so it can be dealt with for the next iteration on it. All right, and I also share in the show notes the latest conversations that Great and Jessica had with two agency owners about the block editor and FSE. I think that's pretty insightful.
Oh, that was with the Codable experts. Yeah, it was not the agency owners, but the Codable experts. Yeah.
Codable is an agency that matches up projects with freelancers, and they have a very strict screening method for the freelancers. So they are real experts and they know what they're doing. And so thank you for telling me that. Anyway, so I will share that. So if anybody who wants to listen some more, it's on YouTube and it was Jessica. So, and as always, the show notes will be published on gutenbergtimes.com/podcast. This is episode 127. And if you have questions and suggestions or news you want us to include, send them to changelog@gutenbergtimes.com. That's changelog@gutenbergtimes.com. And thank you so much for spending this time with me and Jessica and going over the WordPress 7.0 features with me. And it was good to see you and talking to you. Thanks for listening and goodbye.
Thanks for having me. Bye.